Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be testing out Assassin's Creed Mirage on my RTX 4080. Going to initially test it at 4K, but I will probably test 1440p and 1080p as well. So I'm at 4K first, 3840 by 2160. And then I'm going to play with everything maxed out. For some of those settings, that means ultra high, some very high is the highest it can go, and then some is high. That's the highest that it can go. And then we've got motion blur off. I'm going to play it native first. As you can see here, we do have DLSS, XeSS and FSR, but I'll probably initially afterwards test DLSS as well as native. So let's have a look. Right, so it looks like we're getting between 90 and 110-ish in that region, which is kind of roughly what I expected. It's very similar to the XTX from what I've seen. Seems like maybe you might have some dips to the kind of high 80s potentially in really, really dense areas. And then highs is almost 115, I think, in some kind of less densely populated areas. But overall in this game, performance-wise, from all the cars I've tested so far, seems like pretty decent performance. Some of the best performance I think I've seen this year in a game. You know, normally games are coming out not that great, but this is actually pretty decent. To be getting over 100 FPS at 4K from day one is it's very good. VRAM usage too is pretty reasonable. We're at about 9 gig. I have seen the longer you play, it does creep up a little bit. I've seen 10 to sometimes 11 gig being used, but we've got 16 gig on the 4080, so well within the bounds of that. Power consumption as well has been very good in this game. Interestingly, my 4090 at 4K actually doesn't use that much more power than this, but gets about another 20 to 30 FPS on the 4090. So that card is super efficient on this game. This card a little bit less. Still using 230 watts to get not even the same. Like I say, 20 to 30 FPS off the 4090. Use about the same amount of power. Should likely see that come down a bit once we switch DLSS on. CPU usage for this game as well, slightly higher than normal at 4K, between 10 and 20%. Normally you'd be below 10% at 4K, and then see it creep up as you go lower the resolution. See if we can get in some combat. I did notice a little bit of stuttering, especially in the benchmark test from the main screen. I seem to get a lot of stuttering doing that, but when I play in-game, it seems fine. I get an occasional kind of micro stutter, but it doesn't really happen that often. Okay, so I'm now just going to take a look with DLSS on, so I'll put that on there, and then we'll try out the quality preset. So let's see how many frames we're getting with that. Should roughly see about a 20 to 30 FPS increase, so in this specific bit here, we had about 90 to 95 FPS. Kind of 90 to 100 range there. So yeah, after applying that, we've got 100 and kind of between 115 to 130. So yeah, I think on average you'll see about a 20 to 30 FPS increase with the quality preset.
Time to die!
It's, I would say, brought down power by the looks of it just a little bit. I think we had about 230 watts at native, so it's brought that down a little, but not massively. I think the quality as well, I think the DLSS quality isn't too bad. In some areas, I feel like the image can look a little bit soft compared to native, but I think it's just about doable. I personally, however, wouldn't really go any lower than that. On this game, the upscaling seems to kind of get a little bit rough. If you go to sort of balanced and lower, the image does get quite bad, in my opinion, at least at 4K. Upscaling back up to 4K with it on my 4K screen, it gets quite, especially at performance and ultra performance, it can look quite bad. It almost looks as though the textures go from ultra to low. And you don't gain a massive performance from it either. So from here, I think ultra performance, we had about 140 to 150. So the more you go down on those presets, the kind of, you know, diminishing returns on the FPS. And I don't really think the trade-off of image quality is really worth the extra like 20 FPS on average or something. So I wouldn't really advise to use those. I'm now going to be taking a look at 1440p, so we've got that resolution set here. Graphics-wise, going to have the same as before, so everything maxed. And I'll first play at native 1440p, and then we'll check out DLSS as well. So let's check that. So it looks like we've gone up from about 90 to 110 to we're kind of pushing in the range of between, I think, 130 and 150 is the kind of rough average by the looks of it. Not quite holding the 144, which would have been good if we could hold that, I think, at 1440p, because obviously a lot of monitors are going to be set to that. But we're kind of in and around there. It's not dropping too far from there. VRAM has dropped down by about a gig and a half from 4K. So we're sitting at about 8 now. Even CPU usage, not really. It's up slightly. I'd say we were about 15%, I think, between 10 and 20% for the most part. Now it looks like we're just creeping slightly above that. Power consumption on the GP2 looks like it's down a little bit, probably about 20 to 30 watts. We were kind of in the range of 220 to 230 at 4K. So it's impressive that it's even holding these frames in the kind of dense area. I mean, the further you go out of the city, you might even see some highs of kind of 160.
Die now!
But I'll take a look with DLSS quality now, so we go in and switch that on. DLSS there, and I'll put it on quality. See how much more FPS that gives us. So we'd expect it to be maybe 20 to 30 FPS. Probably looking at in and around that, weren't we? We were sort of at 140 to 150-ish, where we're going up to, I don't know, some areas. I mean, we hit 170 when we were just running up there. 180. So I'd say for a 144 Hz monitor, probably don't really need to use DLSS quality. You're pretty much hitting those frames anyway, so there'd be real no need to use this setting. But I thought we'd just have a look at it anyway. It's brought my GPU power down by quite a bit actually, 20 to 30 watts again. So we're sitting at 170, 180. CPU usage gone up quite a bit though. We're almost hitting 30% now. VRAM doesn't really look like it's changed. I'm going to be checking out 1080p now. As you can see, we've got that set here. And then graphics-wise, we've got everything maxed out still, as we tested with the other resolutions. And I'll test out native first, but then I'll also check out DLSS as well. So it looks like we're getting about 160, 170 FPS, which is, yet again, it's about another 20 to 30 FPS, more than 1440p. Seems to be kind of the general gain, about 30, maybe maximum 40 FPS, about 90 to 110 4K, 120 to 150-ish 1440p, so kind of that similar gain there. Again for 1080p. GPU usage looks like it's dropping down a little bit, hitting the 95% there, so slightly less than what we had at the other resolutions. Power's obviously come down a little bit as well. Not a lot though, really. Maybe about, what was he? Maybe about 20 watts on average. So a little bit. Obviously CPU usage though does then go up, hitting almost 30%, and then CPU power too is going to be a lot higher there, 120 watts almost. But frame time obviously looks even better at this resolution. I wonder if we get any stuttering at all. at this res.
Need some steel?
I require reinforcements.
See how this goes.
Call for help.
Oh, I missed the assassinate. Team up on him.
The warehouse Kong mentioned. I need to find out more about this harbor master.
He's going for the... I'm trying to stop him from going for the bell. No. I'm now going to take a look at DLSS at 1080p, so we'll check out DLSS at, we'll check the quality preset. All the graphics and everything are still maxed, so we should probably expect to see maybe, what, 20 to 30 FPS more? Which looks like roughly about what we're getting, again, similar to using the same preset on the other resolutions. Has dropped down our GPU usage, though, quite a bit then, into the 80% now. Some games, especially with the DLSS, obviously going even more CPU bound, so using less of the GPU. And that obviously does then bring power down too, so back down to even 150, 160. It would be probably beneficial to use something like the kind of like native AA option at 1080p, just so you can get the anti-aliasing effect from DLSS. You could set DLSS here and go native. And especially at low resolutions, you'll probably notice better image quality because of the anti-aliasing. And often not every game, I think it looks better. But there are quite a few games, I think, especially at 1080p. Oftentimes the image quality will actually look better with DLSS. I can't say... I definitely wouldn't say it makes the same kind of difference in some other games that I've seen. You get games like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. I always thought at 1080p it looked a lot better with the like FSR or DLSS anti-aliasing. Even though you can't do native AA in that game, but even just switching it on at all, I thought it always looked a bit better. This does look better than using the quality preset because we're not actually doing any resolution scaling here. So this could potentially be, you know, it's useful. You could at least select this option if you wanted to. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the 4080 performance in this game, and I'll catch you next time.